Most people assumed Queen Camilla's sudden journey to Scotland was nothing more than a private getaway far from public attention. Yet according to growing speculation among royal observers, the trip may have triggered a chain of events that led Catherine, Princess of Wales, toward a mystery buried for nearly half a century. What began as a routine absence soon raised uncomfortable questions, unexpected connections, and a trail leading back to one of the most controversial eras in royal history. But what exactly was hidden for 45 years, and why are some commentators convinced the answers may still matter today? Section 1. When stories involving the royal family first emerge, they often begin with a small detail that seems insignificant at the time. In this case, that detail was Queen Camilla's sudden departure for Scotland. On the surface, there appeared to be nothing remarkable about the journey. Members of the royal family frequently travel throughout the United Kingdom, often balancing official duties with private commitments. Yet royal commentators quickly noticed that something about this particular trip felt different. Unlike most royal engagements, there was reportedly very little information surrounding the visit. No major public schedule accompanied the journey. No detailed explanation emerged regarding the purpose of the trip. More importantly, according to palace watchers, there seemed to be an unusual effort to keep attention away from it altogether. That observation immediately sparked curiosity. Why would a senior royal figure, particularly Queen Camilla, travel under circumstances that appeared so unusually discreet? According to commentators, Catherine, Princess of Wales, may have asked herself the very same question. What makes this story particularly interesting is that Catherine, Princess of Wales, has rarely been associated with palace intrigue. Throughout years of public life, Catherine has earned a reputation for patience, caution, and discipline. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is often described as someone who prefers careful observation over impulsive reactions. That reputation matters because it changes how many royal followers interpret the rumors. If Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly became interested in the Scotland trip, many observers believe there must have been a reason, and that reason may have extended far beyond Scotland itself. According to various accounts, questions reportedly began emerging after information surfaced suggesting that Queen Camilla may have been contacted by someone connected to her distant past. While no definitive evidence supporting these claims has been publicly verified, the rumors quickly attracted attention because of the timeline involved. The connection allegedly stretched back more than 40 years. Think about that for a moment. How many relationships remain relevant after 4 decades? How many unresolved matters stay dormant for nearly half a century before suddenly returning? Those questions became impossible for royal watchers to ignore. Even more intriguing was the historical period allegedly connected to the mystery. The early 1980s remain one of the most heavily discussed periods in modern royal history. It was a time of transformation, uncertainty, and enormous public interest surrounding the future direction of the monarchy. Events from that era continue generating discussion even today. Could something from that period have resurfaced unexpectedly? Some commentators believe it could, others remain unconvinced. Yet regardless of where people stand, the mystery itself has continued growing. According to royal analysts, one reason the story gained momentum is because it touches on themes that have always fascinated royal audiences. Loyalty, legacy, reputation, duty. These themes are woven deeply into the history of the monarchy and often become most visible during moments of uncertainty. If Queen Camilla was truly connected to a forgotten chapter from 45 years ago, the implications could be significant. Not necessarily because of what happened back then, but because of what it might reveal now. And that distinction is crucial. History becomes important when it influences the present. Some royal observers argue that this may explain Catherine, Princess of Wales's alleged interest in the matter. Rather than focusing on gossip or speculation, Catherine may have been trying to understand whether the situation carried broader consequences for the institution itself. After all, Prince William, the future king, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, represent the future of the monarchy. Any issue capable of affecting public trust inevitably becomes relevant to them. But there was another question beginning to emerge. If a mystery from the past had truly returned, who else knew about it? Was Queen Camilla facing the issue alone? Had King Charles III been informed? Or were events unfolding without the knowledge of some of the most senior figures within the royal family? As speculation intensified, attention gradually shifted away from the Scotland trip itself and toward the individual allegedly connected to it. Because according to the most persistent versions of the story, that individual may have held the key to understanding everything. And what royal observers reportedly learned next would make the mystery even more difficult to ignore.
As speculation surrounding Queen Camilla's Scotland journey continued to grow, attention gradually shifted toward a question that many royal commentators considered far more important than the trip itself. If Queen Camilla had truly traveled in such a discreet manner, what exactly had prompted the journey in the first place? For Catherine, Princess of Wales, according to various reports and discussions among royal watchers, that question allegedly became impossible to ignore. At first, the situation appeared straightforward enough. Private matters occasionally require private responses, particularly within an institution as visible as the monarchy. Yet the more observers examined the timeline, the more unusual details seemed to emerge. One detail, in particular, attracted considerable attention. According to several commentators, rumors began circulating that an individual connected to Queen Camilla's distant past had unexpectedly reappeared after decades of silence. No official confirmation ever emerged regarding such claims, but the possibility alone was enough to spark widespread discussion among those who closely follow royal affairs. After all, people rarely disappear from public narratives for 45 years and then suddenly become relevant again. Why now? What had changed? And why did the alleged reappearance appear to coincide with Queen Camilla's unexpected journey to Scotland? Those questions created a new layer of mystery. Some royal analysts suggested that the answer might be connected to unfinished business from another era. Not necessarily a scandal, not necessarily a crime, but perhaps an unresolved chapter that had never been fully addressed. That theory gained traction because history often has a surprising way of returning when least expected. Events that seem buried can suddenly resurface. Relationships that appear forgotten can unexpectedly become significant again. And secrets, whether real or imagined, rarely stay hidden forever. For Catherine, Princess of Wales, the alleged challenge reportedly became one of separating speculation from reality. Rather than accepting dramatic claims at face value, Catherine, Princess of Wales was said to be focused on understanding whether there was any genuine substance beneath the growing rumors. That distinction is important. Royal history is filled with stories that evolved far beyond the facts. Small events often become enormous narratives once public curiosity takes hold. Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly understood that possibility and allegedly approached the situation with caution. Yet according to royal commentators, the mystery continued expanding. The more questions that were answered, the more new questions appeared. And that is often the hallmark of a genuinely compelling story. One particularly intriguing aspect involved the timeline itself. The alleged connection reportedly stretched back to the early 1980s, a period that remains one of the most examined eras in modern royal history. It was a time when personal relationships, public expectations, and royal responsibilities frequently collided in ways that shaped the future of the monarchy. Many viewers remember that period vividly. Others know it primarily through documentaries, biographies, and historical analysis. Either way, it remains a chapter that continues attracting extraordinary interest. Could something from that era still be influencing events today? Some commentators believe the answer may be yes. Others argue that such theories rely too heavily on coincidence. But regardless of where people stand, the possibility itself has captured attention. Because if a forgotten figure from Queen Camilla's past truly returned, the implications could be significant. Not necessarily because of what happened decades ago, but because of what that return might reveal about the present. That possibility reportedly became increasingly difficult for Catherine, Princess of Wales, to dismiss. At the same time, another interesting question began emerging. What role, if any, did King Charles III play in the situation? According to speculation among royal observers, there was little indication that King Charles III had been publicly involved in the matter. If the rumors were accurate, did King Charles III already know the full story? Or was King Charles III learning about developments at the same time as everyone else? The absence of clear answers only fueled additional curiosity. Meanwhile, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued representing the future direction of the monarchy, making any issue connected to institutional stability especially relevant. Some royal analysts argued that this broader context may explain why the alleged mystery attracted so much attention. The story was no longer simply about Queen Camilla. It was becoming a story about legacy, about reputation, about the long shadow cast by history. And according to the most persistent versions of the rumors, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was allegedly beginning to realize that the answers she sought might not be found in Scotland alone. Instead, they might be hidden within a series of contradictions that refuse to disappear. Contradictions involving timelines, contradictions involving explanations, and contradictions involving events that some observers believe never fully added up. Because as Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly continued examining the situation, one detail reportedly stood out above all the others. The official narrative and the rumored narrative appear to be telling two completely different stories. And somewhere between those competing versions of events, Catherine, Princess of Wales, believed the truth might finally be waiting to emerge. What happened next would reportedly transform an interesting mystery into something far more consequential than anyone had anticipated. By the time the alleged mystery reached this stage, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was reportedly no longer focused on isolated events. The Scotland trip, the rumored contact from the past, and the growing speculation surrounding Queen Camilla had begun forming a larger picture. Yet instead of providing clarity, that picture appeared to reveal something far more intriguing: a contradiction. And according to many royal historians, contradictions are often where hidden stories begin to reveal themselves. The reason is simple. When facts align, questions usually disappear. When facts refuse to align, questions multiply. That appears to be exactly what was happening here. According to royal commentators, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly began examining the timeline more closely than ever before. The reported explanations surrounding Queen Camilla's Scotland visit seemed straightforward on the surface, but several details continued raising eyebrows among observers. Why had the trip reportedly been arranged with such urgency? Why did the explanations appear to evolve over time? And perhaps most importantly, why did certain details seem inconsistent depending on who was discussing them? Those questions may seem small individually, but together they created a pattern that was difficult to ignore. Patterns matter, especially inside institutions where routine and consistency are highly valued. Some royal analysts have suggested that Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly became increasingly interested in understanding whether those inconsistencies were accidental or intentional. Because there is a significant difference between confusion and concealment. Confusion happens naturally. Concealment requires effort. And according to speculation surrounding the story, considerable effort may have been involved. At this point, many royal watchers began asking a new question. What if the mystery was never really about Scotland? That theory dramatically changed the conversation. If Scotland was merely the location where events unfolded, then the real story might exist somewhere else entirely. The focus suddenly shifted toward motivations, relationships, and historical connections rather than geography. Why would someone revisit a chapter of life that had supposedly remained closed for 45 years? What could possibly make the past feel urgent again after so much time? Those questions continued driving discussion among royal followers. Meanwhile, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly found herself confronting another possibility. What if the individual connected to the rumors possessed information that extended beyond a single event? That possibility immediately raised the stakes. One secret can be explained. Multiple secrets are far more difficult to manage. Royal historians frequently point out that some of the most significant moments in royal history did not emerge from public ceremonies or official announcements. Instead, they developed quietly behind closed doors before eventually shaping events in ways few people anticipated. Could this alleged mystery fit that pattern? Many commentators believe it might. Others remain unconvinced. Yet even skeptics acknowledge that the story's persistence suggests something deeper than ordinary gossip. After all, most rumors disappear quickly. This one continued gaining momentum. One reason may be the growing role of Catherine, Princess of Wales, within the modern monarchy. As Prince William, the future king, assumes increasing responsibility, Catherine, Princess of Wales, has become one of the institution's most respected public figures. Every decision, every appearance, and every action taken by Catherine, Princess of Wales, attracts enormous attention. That reality inevitably shapes how people interpret the rumors. If Catherine, Princess of Wales, was allegedly involved, many observers assume the matter must carry genuine significance. Whether that assumption is fair remains open to debate, but perception often influences public discussion just as much as evidence. And evidence was becoming the key issue. According to reports circulating among royal commentators, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly began shifting focus away from speculation and toward verification. Questions alone were no longer enough. Answers were needed. Real answers. Not assumptions. Not theories. Not palace gossip. Actual evidence capable of explaining why the story continued growing more complicated. That shift reportedly marked an important turning point. Because once evidence becomes the objective, every detail takes on greater importance. Timelines matter. Documents matter. Conversations matter. Even seemingly insignificant events can suddenly become crucial. And, according to some observers, that is exactly what began happening. Details that once appeared unrelated allegedly started connecting in unexpected ways. The Scotland trip connected to the mysterious figure from the past. The mysterious figure connected to questions dating back decades. Those questions connected to larger concerns involving reputation, trust, and legacy. Gradually, what seemed like separate pieces started resembling a single puzzle. But one crucial piece was still missing. The truth. Not the rumored truth. Not the public version. The actual truth. And according to the most persistent versions of the story, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly believed that discovering that missing piece would finally explain everything. Yet there was a problem. The closer Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly came to understanding the mystery, the more significant the potential consequences appeared. Because if the rumors were accurate, the issue was no longer confined to Queen Camilla alone. The implications could reach King Charles III. The implications could affect Prince William. And the implications could potentially influence how people viewed an entire chapter of royal history. That realization transformed the mystery from an interesting puzzle into something much larger. Something potentially capable of affecting the monarchy itself. And according to royal commentators, the next development would reportedly bring Catherine, Princess of Wales, closer than ever to the answers she had been searching for. Because evidence was finally beginning to emerge. And what that evidence allegedly suggested would force everyone involved to confront a question that had remained hidden for 45 years. A question that Queen Camilla may have hoped would never be asked again. As Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly moved closer to understanding the truth behind Queen Camilla's mysterious Scotland journey, the situation was reportedly becoming more complicated rather than less. Instead of finding a simple explanation capable of resolving the growing speculation, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was reportedly encountering new questions at every turn. And, according to royal commentators, that is often what happens when a mystery reaches its most critical stage. The closer someone gets to the truth, the more difficult it becomes to separate fact from interpretation. By now, many royal watchers believed the Scotland trip was only one part of a much larger story. The journey itself had captured public attention, but the alleged connections behind it were becoming increasingly significant.
Why?
Because attention was no longer focused solely on where Queen Camilla had gone. Attention was focused on what Queen Camilla may have been trying to protect. That distinction changed everything. According to several commentators, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly began considering a possibility that few people had discussed openly before. What if the issue was not connected to a single event from 45 years ago? What if the issue involved a chain of decisions stretching across decades? That theory immediately raised the stakes. A single misunderstanding can often be explained. A long pattern of hidden decisions is far more difficult to address. Royal historians frequently remind audiences that the monarchy is built not only on tradition but also on continuity. Every generation inherits responsibilities, relationships, and sometimes even unresolved issues from the generations that came before. Could Catherine, Princess of Wales, have been uncovering one of those unresolved issues? Many royal observers believe that possibility cannot be dismissed. At the same time, another important question was beginning to emerge. If Queen Camilla allegedly felt pressure regarding the past, who else might have known about it? According to speculation circulating among royal followers, this question became increasingly important because secrets rarely remain confined to one individual. The longer a secret exists, the more likely it is that other people become aware of fragments of the story. Not necessarily the entire truth, but pieces of it. And sometimes those pieces become enough to create serious concern. This possibility reportedly pushed Catherine, Princess of Wales, toward a broader examination of the situation. Rather than focusing entirely on Queen Camilla, Catherine allegedly began evaluating how the mystery could affect the monarchy as a whole. That shift was significant, because the conversation was no longer about personal reputation. The conversation was becoming about institutional stability. King Charles III continues carrying the enormous responsibility of leading the monarchy during a period of transition and modernization. Prince William, the future king, represents the next chapter. Catherine, Princess of Wales, stands beside Prince William as one of the most trusted and admired members of the royal family. Any issue capable of creating instability within that structure naturally becomes important. And, according to commentators, the alleged mystery appeared increasingly capable of doing exactly that. Yet there remained a fundamental problem. No definitive public proof had emerged. The theories continued growing. The questions continued multiplying. But certainty remained frustratingly out of reach. This created an unusual situation. Some royal watchers became convinced that a major revelation was approaching. Others argued that speculation had moved far beyond the available facts. The debate became almost as fascinating as the mystery itself. Who was right? Was there genuinely a hidden story waiting to be uncovered? Or had public curiosity transformed ordinary events into an extraordinary narrative? Those competing interpretations continued shaping discussion across the royal community. Meanwhile, according to reports, Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly remained focused on one objective above all others: understanding the truth before reaching conclusions. That approach earned praise from many commentators. After all, history shows that assumptions can be dangerous, particularly within institutions where public trust matters enormously. Yet the pressure was reportedly increasing. The alleged timeline was becoming more difficult to ignore. The rumored connections were becoming harder to dismiss. And most importantly, the potential consequences were becoming larger. If the mystery proved insignificant, the story would eventually fade. But if the mystery contained genuine substance, then every day that passed increased the likelihood of a larger confrontation. A confrontation not necessarily between individuals, but between the past and the present. Because that is what made the alleged story so compelling. At its core, it was never really about Scotland. It was about history. It was about legacy. It was about whether events from decades ago could still influence the monarchy today. And according to the most persistent versions of the rumors, Catherine, Princess of Wales, was reportedly approaching the moment when those questions might finally receive answers. However, the answers themselves carried their own risks. Because if Catherine, Princess of Wales, truly discovered what Queen Camilla had allegedly been hiding, another difficult question would immediately follow. What should be done with that knowledge? Should the truth remain private? Should it be shared with King Charles III? Should it remain locked within palace walls forever? Those questions would reportedly become the center of the final and most dramatic chapter of the entire mystery. Because according to royal commentators, what happened next was no longer about uncovering the past. It was about deciding the future. And that decision would allegedly place Catherine, Princess of Wales, in the most challenging position of all. The position of someone who finally knows the truth, but must decide whether revealing it is worth the consequences that may follow. As the alleged mystery surrounding Queen Camilla's secret Scotland journey approached its climax, Catherine, Princess of Wales reportedly found herself facing a challenge far greater than simply uncovering information. Finding answers, according to many royal commentators, is often the easiest part of a mystery. Deciding what to do with those answers is where the real difficulty begins. By this stage, the discussion had moved far beyond questions about travel arrangements, private meetings, or forgotten connections from the past. Instead, the focus had shifted towards something much larger: responsibility. If the rumors were true and Catherine, Princess of Wales, had indeed uncovered evidence suggesting that important details had remained hidden for decades, what obligation would Catherine, Princess of Wales, have to act? That question sits at the very heart of the story. Throughout history, the royal family has repeatedly faced moments when private realities collided with public expectations. Sometimes those moments resulted in transparency. Other times they resulted in silence. Each decision carried consequences, and those consequences often extended far beyond the individuals directly involved. According to royal analysts, this alleged situation appeared no different. Because even if Catherine, Princess of Wales, succeeded in discovering the truth, there remained another problem. Who should know? King Charles III? Prince William? Senior palace officials? Or nobody at all? The answer was far from obvious. Some royal observers argue that complete transparency is always the correct approach. According to this perspective, institutions build trust by confronting difficult truths directly rather than avoiding them. Others strongly disagree. Some commentators believe that revealing sensitive information decades after the fact can create instability without providing meaningful benefits. They argue that history should be understood, but not necessarily reopened. Which side is correct? That debate remains unresolved. And perhaps that uncertainty explains why this alleged mystery continues capturing so much attention. Meanwhile, another interpretation has gained support among royal watchers. According to this perspective, the real significance of the story has never been Queen Camilla alone. Instead, the focus has gradually shifted toward Catherine, Princess of Wales.
Why?
Because regardless of whether every rumor proves accurate, exaggerated, or entirely mistaken, the story presents an image of Catherine, Princess of Wales, operating under extraordinary pressure while attempting to balance loyalty, duty, and judgment. Many royal commentators have noted that leadership is rarely defined during comfortable moments. Leadership is defined during uncertain moments. Moments when information is incomplete. Moments when consequences are unclear. Moments when every available option carries risks. If the reports surrounding this mystery contain any truth at all, then Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly found herself navigating exactly that kind of situation. And for many royal followers, that may be the most interesting development of all. As Prince William prepares for the future responsibilities that await him, Catherine, Princess of Wales, continues becoming one of the monarchy's most influential and respected figures. Every challenge faced today contributes to the experience and perspective that may shape the monarchy tomorrow. That reality has led some observers to view the alleged Scotland mystery as more than just an isolated event. They see it as a test of judgment, a test of discretion, a test of leadership. Whether that interpretation is accurate remains open to debate, but it helps explain why interest in the story has continued growing. At the same time, the central mystery remains frustratingly unresolved. Was Queen Camilla truly attempting to keep a 45-year-old secret hidden? Did Catherine, Princess of Wales, genuinely uncover information connected to a forgotten chapter of royal history? Or has public fascination with royal intrigue transformed a routine event into something far more dramatic than reality ever intended? No definitive public evidence has answered those questions. And that uncertainty may ultimately be what keeps the story alive. Because mysteries survive when answers remain incomplete. The Scotland trip remains unusual. The alleged connections remain intriguing. The timeline continues raising questions. Yet the full picture remains just beyond reach. Perhaps that is why so many royal watchers remain captivated. Not because they know the truth, but because they continue searching for it. And in many ways, that search reflects something larger, than this single story. It reflects the enduring fascination people have with the royal family itself, an institution built upon tradition, history, symbolism, and occasionally unanswered questions. OUTRO. What makes this alleged mystery so compelling is that it offers two very different interpretations. One interpretation suggests that Queen Camilla's Scotland trip may have been connected to a hidden chapter from the past, a chapter that Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly worked tirelessly to understand. The other interpretation suggests that public curiosity, speculation, and decades of royal history have combined to create a narrative far larger than the available evidence supports. Both possibilities deserve consideration. After all, history teaches us that not every mystery contains a dramatic secret. But history also teaches us that sometimes the most important truths remain hidden until the moment nobody expects them to return. So what do you think? Do you believe Queen Camilla was protecting a long-buried secret from 45 years ago? Do you believe Catherine, Princess of Wales, uncovered something significant behind the scenes? Or do you think this entire story demonstrates how easily royal speculation can take on a life of its own? Share your thoughts in the comments below because we'd love to hear your perspective. And if you enjoyed this royal deep dive, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join our growing community of royal watchers for more stories, mysteries, and discussions surrounding the royal family, King Charles III, Prince William, Catherine, Princess of Wales, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the future of the monarchy. Because sometimes the biggest royal questions are not the ones that have answers. They are the ones that continue echoing long after the story appears to end.